Hello. An earlier video in 2015 covered many of the graphical user interface capabilities of isCOBOL. In this video, I will show you the newest GUI options that have been added since that video was made. Almost all of our controls features are used in our sample program called isControlSet. There are a couple of new screen additions, a notification window, and an icon in the Windows tray. Most of our controls have been enhanced, including those listed here, and a new control called a ribbon has been added. We've also added the ability to create dynamic screens, allowing you to add or remove screen section controls from within your program. I'll also show you a new window style, gradient color, and a new control style, transparency. And finally, I'll show you the new find capabilities of print preview. So let's take a closer look at these changes. As you can see, I'm in 2018 R2. I've gone into the sample directory and the isControlSet subdirectory. I've compiled the programs according to the readme.txt, and now I'm going to run them with isc run. You'll see the splash screen come up, and then the main screen, and then down in the bottom right corner, you'll see a notification window. This is a simple window with labels and bitmaps. It displays in any corner of the screen that you choose. It fades in and fades out. There's a sample program called notifprog.cbl. It's a pretty flexible program. You can modify it and use it to display your own notifications. Another thing in the bottom right corner is the isCOBOL tray icon. That's another new feature. I'm going to right-click on it. You can create any menu of items that you want here, and it's a quick way for your user to access different parts of your program. I'm going to change the menu from the ribbon to both the ribbon and the menu bar. So there's the ribbon and the menu bar appeared. So let's get into our controls that have changed. First, I want to show you in a grid and also in the list box, you can now export the contents to Excel. I'm going to click on the Export to Excel button here, and the default name and extension are configurable. I'm going to keep the default here. And you'll see that some of the formatting has been kept, including the bold and the colors and the size of the cells. Now again, you can do this with the grid and the list box. Let's go to the list box for a minute. In addition to the export to Excel, we've added a selection mode. Now normally the user can select one record at a time. But with selection mode, you can give them some choices. In addition to the single style, you can give them the option under single interval of holding down the Shift key and choosing one large group of records. And then another option is multiple intervals. This is the one that will allow them to hold down the Control key and choose records that are not next to each other. Now this list box down here has the checklist style. And if your selection mode is single, you'll see that each item has a radio button next to it, allowing the user to choose a single item only. But if you change the selection mode to multiple intervals, that will make the checklist style display checkboxes so that you can choose more than one. I'm going to switch over to the Grid tab. And the Grid also has a selection mode with the same three options. But in addition, it will allow you to choose what to select, either a cell, a row, or a column. So for instance, if I put this on columns and multiple intervals, then I should be able to choose a column, hold down the Control key, and choose another column. The grid has some other great new features. One of them is a filter. That's this icon here, and I'm going to go to the yes/no field, and I'm going to take them all off and just display those that have the checkbox, the yes. You'll see it immediately filters out all of the no's. Another new part of the grid is the find feature. Now I'm going to press the keys Control and F, and it will bring up my find box. Let's search for the text 2010, and you'll see as I type it, it will filter through the records. Now I'm going to switch down to the Others tab, and there's another grid here that shows a couple more new options with the grid. One is to combine grid cells or rows with the cell column span or cell row span property, and you'll see here the item data span 2 columns. Also, you can write your text vertically, as we have here. So let's move on to push buttons. We've given you a lot more options for push buttons, including aligning your text dynamically and adding bitmaps to various positions. So here we have the bitmap and the text in different positions within the push button. And we've made the title position dynamic. So within your program, you can move the title position around. And you've got quite a few changes in entry fields. First, you can put a bitmap in your entry field. We have a leading bitmap here and a trailing bitmap. And you can see that both of them have pop-up hints. When I click on it, an event is launched with the bitmap number in event data 1 so that your program can react to the click. Now over here under day of the week, we have proposals. Proposals are new in entry fields and combo boxes. So if I were to type a T, this is set up to propose 2 different days of the week. This not only saves me typing time, but it is an easy way to get valid data in your field. Down below that is the placeholder, again in the entry field and the combo box. It's light text that gives you instructions for the entry field that you can just start typing over. And below that is the spell checker. In an entry field, you can activate the spell checker, and it checks spelling as well as grammar. So for instance, you see this red line. I hovered over it, and it tells me there is a spelling mistake and what the correction might be. It will also check your grammar. So for instance, this sentence has quite a few errors. I'll hover over the first squiggly line and it tells me I have too many my's. Okay, I'll take one out. I'll hover over the next squiggly and it tells me I have too much white space. Okay, I'll take a space out. And then finally I'll hover over the red one and it tells me I've spelled it wrong. So I'll spell it correctly. So you see it's a pretty powerful tool and something that the users expect in their mature applications. Over here on radio buttons and checkboxes, we now support using bitmaps in your checkboxes and radio buttons. And you see the radio button here has a blue bitmap in it. When I hover over it, it turns red. This one has a gray, and when I click on it, it turns blue. So these are just different bitmaps that we've used to make the radio buttons be more noticeable. Checkboxes are the same. For instance, this one's gray. I hover over it, and it's blue. A new tab has been added to demonstrate how the dynamic screen works. When you use the upon clause of the display statement, the control is added to the current screen, and it's included in the accept of that screen. So let's add an entry field and a push button. We'll put that in line 2. You can specify a screen section group to have it added to that group as if it were declared in the screen section. Now at the top of the screen, you'll see the ribbon. That's a new control that's been added to the isCOBOL GUI control set. It's a familiar looking toolbar. There are 2 parts of it. I'm going to right click on this print and add to the ribbon header. So there's a ribbon header that's very similar to Microsoft's quick access toolbar. Then there's the ribbon itself. You can put tabs, push buttons, combo boxes, any control on the ribbon. A new window style is gradient color, and I have modified this sample program so that the print screen is green rather than gray, so that it points out this gradient color. Now you can see it's moving from north to south. You can change that. It can go the opposite way or left to right or from any corner. But this gradient color gives some depth to your screens. Now these radio buttons are controls on top of controls, and they wouldn't look like they were part of the screen if we didn't offer transparency. That makes their background match the control that they're on top of. To demonstrate this, I turned off transparency in -P Spooler, and you can see how it looks not quite part of the screen. I have -P Preview chosen here, and I'm going to bring that up. And there it is. And our print preview now has a find capability. So the little icon up here, or Control F, will launch that find box. Let's look for logos. There it is in my document. So this is a highlight of the changes that we have made to improve isCOBOL GUI capabilities and keep them up to date with the screens that users expect to see. I urge you to take a new look at the isControl Set program and review it with your application in mind. Thank you.